Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about helping men in difficult times. Well, let me say, I think I finally found the front end of my microphone. It turns out that I think I've been talking into the back end of the microphone the whole time. So that's why my voice might have sounded, a little low on volume and a few other things. So I hope this helps. Now, let me talk about helping men in difficult times, because this is a subject that's really important to me. Now, I know that a lot of you guys hearing this, especially you younger guys, you haven't a care in the world, and everything is just going great for you, and that's great, and I hope it continues. I would suggest that it probably won't, and that you should prepare for it, but that's fine. And you older guys that are on top of the world, more mature guys, this stuff probably isn't for you. That's not necessarily who I'm making a video for. And if you'll think about it, that's fine, right? Because you don't need the video. Right? But there's a lot of men that the current environment, the current system, like what else would I be talking about, is really causing them a lot of difficulty. One of the things to consider is that in the early 2000s, the economy and the job market fell apart. And it devastated a lot of men. You had generations of men that were just getting ready to build their lives, to build families, to build careers, to build empires. And suddenly the economy took that terrible downturn, and mostly middle-class Americans were wiped out. Yeah, the banks and the financial institutions, they usually end up okay, right? They get bailed out. They get all kinds of consideration. And this is the way it's been for a long time now, that the middle class and the lower middle class are bearing the full brunt of the economic hardships. And it's true. If you'll look at a profit margin graph from the 60s onward, what you'll see is just a really nice linear incline, for corporate and businesses. And you'll just see this stagnant flat line for the income of middle-class Americans. And I suspect in the 2000s that, it took a serious dive. It's essentially what helped Obama get into office. So it wasn't just that this happened. It's that with feminism, with this fake progressivism, is that a word? I'm sorry. So, which it's really regressivism masquerading as progressivism. There you go. Now it's a word because I've made up another word to go along with it, right? So the etymology of the words have confirmed the existence and the legitimacy of the word. Otherwise, how could it have supporting words? There you go. So the environment was extremely hostile towards men at the time, and it still is, of course. It's just gotten so much worse. Let me say very quickly that the issues and the variables and the dynamics involved around MGTOW, the economy, political situation, they're so vast that I don't think that one individual can get their head wrapped around all of the variables and all of the dynamics and then speak coherently about it. It would be like somebody understanding all of the parts and mechanisms of a 747 and then being able to speak comprehensively about all of them. We have to have these levels of abstraction and generalization just to process, what's going on. So the men are at their wits' end. The men need help. And as I said, it's worse than you think because we're not allowed to talk about it. You might wonder why I here at the Howard Dare channel include a lot of news clips, okay? Just straight up news clips. Do you want to know why I do it? I'll tell you why. Because if I talk about an issue, the video will not only be demonetized, will not only get any advertisement, but there's a great, if it's about a current news event, it'll probably be flagged for a community guideline strike. Well, certainly to be taken down, non-advertiser friendly. But if I put up a clip of someone on the news talking about the same issue in much more graphic detail and terms and everything like that, it'll be just fine. Yeah, no problem, no problem. So if I say I want to help men, that's a very questionable video, and I'm sorry, it's not advertiser friendly. Okay, so if I talk about health and your diet and lifting weights and addressing your emotional issues and not being put in an unfair emotional situation, which is exactly what men are in all the time almost, okay? So extracting yourself out of this unfair situation is going to be almost nearly impossible. Anyway, if I talk about that, that's bad news. If the news talks about, some really horrible events, that's just fine. So it's really got very little to do with what we're talking about, but rather with what media, is being supported and what narrative is being, reinforced. That's what it is. And it's unfortunate because we're in an age of individual expression because we are connected. You're listening to this video, I'm making the video. In a weird way, we're connected. That's not true when you're watching the television news. There's no connection between you and the person doing the thing. You can't comment. The message is too refined. It's too processed. And they're not going to allow for any sort of interpersonal interaction with it. It's faked. It's a canned presentation for effect. That's what the news media is now, selling a false narrative so that they can maintain power. It's disgusting. They're gossip mongers. They're gossip merchants for influence. And it's kind of the lowest type of influence. It's the influence of people's base emotions towards other people. It's like making people famous and ruining people's reputations and getting people elected and talking about a company and building up its image, or talking about a company knocking down its image. So it's not really aimed, it was never supposed to be aimed at individual citizens, right? So the idea now that you have individual citizens coming into a media market and then the mainstream media saying, hey, we don't like what you said. Haha, we're going to use our resources to come after you. And it's like, wait a minute, you've got 500 lawyers. Right? And the individual you're coming after doesn't have a single one. And all they did was express their opinion. And it wasn't an opinion that you liked, therefore, boom. So there's no morality there. There's no ethics there. There's no principles there anymore. Okay, so that's the environment that men are in. So it's just this relentless attack. And, you're probably, as a younger man or a man trapped in this, you're wondering why? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this to me? I'm a good man. And that has nothing to do with it, okay? It's the overall arching system that feminist, globalist, leftists consider, corrupt. It's a patriarchy. So everything can be ripped down. And it doesn't matter what tactics they use, like if they lie to rip it down, it doesn't matter because in their view, the thing is in fact corrupt. But you could also just as well look at that system as a benevolent, compassionate father, who's built a system and says you can live in my house, but there are some rules. And these rules are the rules of reality that women want to circumnavigate, that they want to go around. And certain groups of people, they don't want to be responsible. They don't want to pay for their own health insurance. Ha-ha. So they don't want to take care of their health. Ha-ha. They don't want to pay. They want free food. They want a free living wage. Ha-ha. So they don't take care of their own lives. And so rather than struggle for freedom and independence within a system, they find fault, are critical, tear down, call the system into question, belittle it, claim that every aspect of it is oppressive, and this is any normal aspect of it, is oppressive, with the idea that the men in charge of it, these patriarchal men, will be torn down. So that's the environment that men are in. Do you see that even for a man to step forward and say, well, I want to work hard and I want to build a future for myself, it's like, well, he's in the minority. And the majority of people are like, no, you're a patriarchal overlord that's been oppressing people for thousands of years. And it's like, no, I'm a 25-year-old man. What are you talking about? I haven't done anything. I haven't done any of these things. Everybody I meet, I would help if I can. So, understand that the values of this altruistic, law-abiding man, that's what the individual man is conditioned as. But what he's represented as is this 1,000-year-old patriarchal oppressive overlord. So they're being attacked on every front, everything. One person can come into work and have 100 problems, okay, and you'll give them nothing but compliments. A man can come into work and have 100 things right, and you're just going to rip him down because men are bad. See, unless men are being represented as good, then men are considered bad. So how do we help the men in a situation like this? And understand that there's no money in it. It won't be socially supported, and yet it's it's exactly what needs to be done. So a sympathetic message, an intelligent message, a motivational message, a defiant message, a truthful message. I think this can help. Most of the time, the individual man is working through his individual pain and confusion. So when he speaks, it's just an expression of that. He really, he doesn't have much to say because he's still in the throes of it. And from my point of view, the best way to deal with it is to recognize that it's an unfair system. So it's like you're playing an unfair game. They're dealing from the bottom of the deck. They're changing the rules as you go along. They've got unlimited resources behind them, and you have limited resources. You are one individual. They're working as a group of, many. So as a man, if you think you're going to win that hand, you're not. So rather than being upset that you're not winning in a crooked game, is to recognize the difference between a crooked game and a fair game, to stop playing the crooked game, and I think your attitude will improve. Men are sold a fundamental lie that it's their responsibility to take care of others. And the minute you step into that role, the first thing that the other does is stop taking care of themselves and start using emotional manipulation, whatever it is that enticed the man to begin to take care of them. They just begin to use that and manipulate. That's why the minute a woman gets married, in many instances, she starts to get fat. She stops working. I suppose plenty of men do that as well, though. They get into a relationship and they say to themselves, well, there's no reason to maintain myself in a condition where I'm trying to get into a relationship. So recognize the situation, recognize these tendencies within yourself. Don't try to clamp down on your natural instincts and your feelings, but rather try to work with them and understand them and to guide them, to harness them, because they're there for a reason. Get yourself out of an unfair situation where somebody's trying to get you to take care of them, where they won't take care of themselves, and then they're punishing you because things aren't working out for them. As if, hey, if you would just take better care of them, they wouldn't need to give you a hard time, okay? That's the narrative that men have been sold, and it's crazy, okay? You're going to have a hard enough time just having a good life for yourself. Just getting yourself taken care of, keeping yourself maintained, moving yourself forward in life is a complete job. The idea that you're going to do that for someone else and do that for yourself, no, you will not. I don't think a person can do that do a good job for yourself. And then from a more advanced position, if you want, you can try and help some others. But do not try to take care of others and then neglect yourself. And don't interact with someone who would have you do that, no matter what their excuse is or their desperation. Because I'm not suggesting that they're necessarily evil, but they are very short-sighted and they're selfish to a degree that is actually, really destructive and unhealthy. And they just don't know it. In other words, they've adopted the mindset of the Western female. Not all of them, but, many of them. Or rather, the narrative of a leftist, cultural Marxist media mindset that is attempting to tear down all of the foundations and traditions of the civilization that it's in because they're unhappy, right? They don't have everything they want. They're not multi-billionaires. They can't fly a jet. They're not president of the United States. Therefore, it must mean that they were treated unfairly because it could never mean that they didn't work hard enough to earn those things. So recognize these truths as a man. Try to be fair to yourself. Try to see things, fairly. It's very difficult when you're stuck in a situation to see the situation from outside of the situation and then make an intelligent decision regarding the situation. This is why it's great to have people in your life that really are your friends and really do care about you, but where are you going to find something like that, right? It's very difficult, but you're going to have to look in the right place. It's possible, it's doable, but that's another video. So I just wanted to put out a sympathetic message, motivational message, positive message to men, and I don't think it'll make a lot of money. So feel free to donate. I don't even think it'll be approved because I'm trying to help men, for God's sakes. Somehow, I have to start making makeup videos. I really do. And puppy videos. I guess I'll do it on another channel, right? Okay, I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.